Today's topic is how to set your kids up for failure. 7 ways parents unknowingly sabotage their kids' future. This is something that touches many of our hearts, whether we're a parent or an uncle and an auntie, or just a big cousin, neighbor, a teacher, fireman, police, judge, doctor. Regardless of where you are in life, you can kind of relate to this particular topic. So before I kind of go into it, what does this have to do with the commoner versus the elite? I think that one of the things that we have to think about as commoners, right, who are striving to be the best that we can be, is how do we set ourselves up and our future generations up for success. I think that a lot of the elite people with money and power and these things and resources, they have to think about what happens tomorrow, right? What happens next week. And I think a lot of us, poor to middle class and even upper middle class, we tend to think about the now moment. Now, rather that now is to our retirement and the kids going to college. I'm speaking about 3 and 4 generations down that we should be focusing more on, but that's another story. But we'll get to the topic. The first things that we do as parents to sabotage our kids' future is to allow them to be raised or mentored by social media, TV, radio, all the particular trends and the culture, the current culture, I should say, pop culture. And that's one of the most significant impacts of our children's life, of our lives too. It's without being stated that TV is programming. It's programming on the level that someone is called a programmer, and they're programming these sitcoms and TVs and movies, right? On another level, when you can show a movie or a sitcom to millions of people, then there has to be things within the film or movie, boundaries that you don't cross. There has to be things you can't say. Like, you can't say specific things, right? You can't do specific things. They even put like rated R, PG-13, etc., mature audiences, so they can kind of give you an idea of what's going to be in this film or sitcom or movie. Why do they do that? Because you want to know what you're getting yourself into. But besides that, the programming is coming from all different levels. And it's not a conspiracy, it is what it is. If you could touch 1 million people, then there has to be a person that says it's okay to. All right. And a lot of times when we let social media and TV and radio dictate what our particular kids do, the problem with that is the people who are on social media, TV, radio are not the people that's thinking about the next generation. They're not thinking about their own generation. They're not thinking about fashion even next year, today's fashion. It's all based on like capitalism. It's all based on just shallow, no depth to it, no soul to it, no spirit to it. Now, when you think of generations beneath you, like my great grandkids, you would think setting them up financially would be the epitome of what I should do as an ancestor. And that's what a lot of us think about. But these pop culture people you see in media, radio, they're just what is hot now. And when society is degrading the way that it is, then what's hot is normally very basic, very base. Right now, we're at a position where people are really, really basic. Really basic, man. It's surface level. So you can't let social media tell them what to do, what to think, what's beautiful about you. Social media will tell you what should a man behave like, what should a boy behave like, what should you think about. And it's just not children that's being affected by the thing, grown adults as well too. So my point is this, that social media, TV, radio, it's like sugar, sweets. It's not dinner, it's not lunch, it's not breakfast, barely a snack. I don't even know if you would call a piece of candy a snack. It's candy. No nutritional value. So social media, TV, radio, the type of music that we listen to, right? It's programming. It's not a mentor. So that's the first mistake we make. 2, we never teach our kids the essentials, the life skills like finances, EQ versus IQ, social skills, diet, manners. Like, we forgot these things because now, you see it for what it is. You got men just no EQ. Being stoic used to be the thing, man. It used to be the thing where men could control our emotions. Now it's just like, now we're not. And finances, the difference between short-term and long-term gratification, not just about looking the best that you can look. I truly believe that your outside should match your inside. But you should know that if your bag costs $5,000, is your inside matching? If your car is a $60,000 car, is it matching with your finances or even your inside? A lot of times it's just not what it is. Our diets, let's be honest about where we are. We know that we don't need as much meat. We know we don't need as much wheat. We know that specific things like pop, soda, all these things, we know what it is, man. It's about the discipline. So look, before I go into the manners, how to behave around yourself, how to hold yourself to a standard. We forget to tell our kids these things. No standards, just kind of like whatever you feel like, whatever you want to be. There are standards that you should put yourself under. It's more than just about looking away or talking away or being educated in a way. Hold yourself up like you are soul, like you have purpose. And the truth of the matter is, if you look, sound, dress, act like the majority, then you probably lost your purpose. Last thing I'll say about that is the schools, teachers, and principals can't raise them. Half the teachers grew up just like we did. We at the age where we just like, they weren't taught either. They barely know what they're doing, man. They're doing the best they can with the curriculum, but they don't supposed to raise your children. You are. 3, the third thing we do as parents that gets in the way of our children's future is we suppress or block all the pain, suffering, side effects, and negative outcomes of their choices. As a parent, you want to protect them from harm, and you want to do the best that you can to shield them from the heartache of this world, right? It hurts you to see them in pain and suffering. But all too often, we shield them from their own choices. Like, you know that you didn't study. You see that your kid's not studying. And now they're getting D's and now they're depressed, right? Or now they have to do summer school, which that means they can't go on this trip. And now they're sad. Or they're, not wanting to work because they want to study, quote unquote. So they have a job, so now you have to provide all of their stuff that they want, the extra stuff they're not earning. So they're being coddled. At the same time, the choices they're making will be the same choices they're going to make as an adult. And here's going to be your clue. When they turn of age, probably around the early 20s, you're going to find them faltering. And when you do, you're going to have to make choices now at that point. Come to the rescue, help them through it, or give them the lesson that you should have gave them when they was 13. Us included. So you can't, it's not about allowing them to fall, but it's, if they're making choices, you have to at least call it out. Hey man, that choice is a bad choice and this is what it's going to lead to. Hey, you don't really want to do that because that's going to lead to that. They have to start, if you give them the opportunity to deal with the pain and suffering while they're with you, then they'll remember those lessons. So when they leave out, they say, no, I don't want to do that. I already know what that feel like. So coddling does the opposite of what you think it's going to do. Number 4, you show them one thing and then, or say one thing, but you do the total opposite. So you make them go to church on Sundays, but you don't go. Maybe you ain't a church person, okay? You have barely pray before you eat. You barely pray. You have very little relationship with a higher power until it's time to pray for somebody else. Or if it's time to, talk about what a person's behavior is supposed to be like. But then you tell them that they need to have a relationship. You say that they need to try their best and do the best they can do in life. Always try hard, always try to push further. But then you've been at the same situation since they were babies. You tell them they should be an entrepreneur, yet they didn't see none of that growing up. They don't see it now. You tell them that they could do everything they want to do, but they see how narrow your life has been. They can travel the world, but you ain't been out the state. That they shouldn't use profanity or shouldn't talk negative and always talk positive, but you gossip. That they should love themselves and accept themselves for who they are, but never see you without makeup on. Never see you without labels on. And if you can't wear a label or makeup, you ain't going nowhere. And you call that, just fixing yourself up. But we know that's insecurity. And a man say, hey, I want to spoil my daughter, give her everything she get, but then you don't treat her mother like nothing. Mothers say, hey, I need men to be strong, and men need to be, this and that and this and that, and then you treat your son like he's a little girl. So you say one thing and you do another, and then you realize that the kids, they like, I don't know what it. Maybe I say one thing, so I'm gonna say one thing and do another. So they recognize it, but it really confuses them, and it takes years for them to process that. The fact that, you weren't there. So it's best, if you're gonna do that, just tell them, look, I have a problem because I'm not here yet, but don't go down this path. I'm here. You go a different one, right? Or yes, I love education now, and I force you to study and do all this stuff like this, but I didn't take my education seriously. That's what I'm telling you. So when you tell them why their life or your life is different than what you're telling them, give them a reason. Because if you just show them one thing, say another, it's going to confuse them, man. You set them up for failure. Number 5, kind of spoil them. We talked about suppressing all and blocking all pain and suffering, but spoiling them, pampering them, and they work for very little. They barely do chores. You think chores is a punishment because you think and you feel like chores is a punishment, so they feel like chores is a punishment, right? You tell them that they shouldn't have to work, that you're going to take care of everything for them, and then wonder why they're so spoiled, and pamper them. You think they're going to respect you more, love you more because their life is easy. They're not. They're little humans. Do you think that you appreciate the state you're in, or United States, or the place you were born, when you compare it to so many people around the world that doesn't have a fraction of what you have? Do you think you appreciate it the way that they would? You're used to it. That's why immigrants come over here and 2 generations they up. And you say, oh, they don't pay taxes. No, man. They up because they appreciate it. They know where they came from. Spoiling them, pampering them, and they work for very little, you're not getting no respect from them. Matter of fact, they'll respect you less because they're too used to what you're giving them. They earn nothing. Kids should earn everything you give them. Not because you need them to, because they need to for themselves. When they start earning everything, they appreciate it. They start placing action. Everything will make sense. Oh, I have to work to earn, or start a business, or save, or I have to find a way to not do this system at all, but I got to be smart about it. Now you can open their mind up. But when you just spoil them, pamper them, you suppress so much creativity. You suppress a lot of their deep thoughts about life. You're out there raking in the yard for an hour and a half, and it's hot outside. When you go hang out with your friends, you're going to feel like you earned it. When she has to wash the dishes, mop the floors, and do all these other things before she goes to hang out at the I don't know, skating rink or something, she might have a little attitude, but she's going to feel like she earned it more. Now you ain't going to have to ask her to do certain things. She's going to say, you know what? I need to find something to do to add value to people around me. A lot of these kids and adults, ourselves included now, they don't add value. You say, well, my kids shouldn't have, they're kids, they didn't actually be here. That's not the point. The point is, kid is a stage. That's not a type of human. Kid is a specific stage. A boy is a man in a boy stage. So what you're doing is not for you, it's for them. Number 6, you expose them to very little, not different places, not different people, not different cultures, anything like that. So you want to start exposing your kids to a different world. Show them what mansions look like. Show them what really, really, really nice cars look like. If you just rent it for a time, or know somebody has them, or go take a look at them in the car lots. Go on vacation with them and show them different countries, different states. But if you can't do that, you can bring that local. Go take them to the homeless. Let them feed them. Let them watch kids with their parents at the homeless shelter. Take them to games to see how people interact. Take them to places where there's nothing but mostly Asian people, mostly different type of people, different cultures, so that they can expand their horizons. Because one of the problems that we have had as parents is we can't give what we hadn't got, and we can't discuss or describe what we haven't ourselves been around. Think about where you are now as a parent, how much more you know about yourself now. There's not a parent alive or an adult alive that says, dang it, if I would have. And then we set our kids up for the same thing. If I would have. How would they know what they would have if you don't expose them to different things? So, expose them to the highs, to the lows. Expose them to the wealth through poverty, different cultures, the same cultures, jobs versus entrepreneurship. Expose them to a global understanding, travel. Do the best you can, even if it's in a book form, to let them know about different people, and they'll have a much more global understanding of themselves, and they have a lot more things to choose from. Okay. Number 7, which is one of the most impactful in a negative way that parents do to set their kids up for failure. And that's to minimize their dream potential. So how do I minimize my kids' dream potential? You do it unconsciously. When was the last time you asked your child? So when you have millions of dollars in the bank, or when you live across seas, what country are you living in? So is it going to be Harvard or so-and-so? Which Ivy League colleges are you interested in? When you talk about their first car, what do you talk about? It being a decent car, nice car. When you talk about their goals, what do you really talk about? This is one of the ones, it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. Where do you put them in your mind when you see your son? You see him having a house like yours, right? A car like yours, and a nice situation, some grandkids maybe. You don't see him the president. You don't see him sending people to the moon. You don't see him writing peace treaties between countries or creating the next big social media giant. Where are you seeing? Where you see your daughter? A little better than you? Worse than you? So it's not what you say, it's what you're not saying. So don't minimize their potential based on your bad choices or maybe your safe choices. Along with exposing them to different stuff, different people, bigger life, you also need to take out your mind the fact that they can do more than what you think they can do. But if you stay away from those, the other 6, you have a greater chance at having a greater vision of them. Your vision of them and their life is based off the fact that you're setting them up for failure. When you see a C on their report cards, what do? Try harder next time. When you see that they don't have the social life that you know they're supposed to have, or the friends they're supposed to have, or that they don't quite care about their appearance or their hygiene, or they don't quite care about specific things, what do you say? What do you say? So that's something to think about as we go forward. do the opposite of everything I stated in these 7. I'm going to give you one bonus one. I kind of mentioned in the beginning. Think about not just your children. This is bonus. You only think about them, their generation. And when they get 20s and 30s, you start thinking about grandkids at that point. Think about what you're doing today will affect 4 generations down. How would you like to be remembered? That picture on their walls, that digital picture that they have of you. What did you contribute to them that they can still remember besides the fact that they got your DNA? What are your great grandkids going to remember about you? What was great about you?